You know, I really had thought I had exhausted the culinary possibilities of a packet of frozen peas, but a friend of mine recently showed me his method for using them still frozen as the first layer in a tray bake. Takes a leap of faith, but go with it. With the peas, I want the gentle allium savouriness of leeks. Sliced. This is so relaxing, easy to make, cosy to eat. You know, I am totally unembarrassed about using frozen peas whenever I can, and I'm very, very proud of the fact that Nigel Slater has crowned me the queen of the frozen pea. Come back. So the leeks can join the petit pois. And now 2 fat cloves of garlic. So everything goes straight into the pan. In any nub I can't mince, I can just drop in as it is. Let this little nub go in as well. Wonderful. A good scattering of sea salt flakes. And next, a little olive oil, just regular olive oil. And a splosh of dry white vermouth. A flourish of dill. I need some to scatter on later, but this can just be torn up over the peas. And help stop me getting frostbite as I mix everything together. Some gloves. And this being a chicken and pea tray bake, I need my chicken. Thighs for me. As the peas cook, they grow duller in colour, certainly, but so much more vibrant in flavour. And the steam they give off makes the chicken exceptionally tender and its skin crisp and crackly. For one more little touch, I need a little more oil just on the chicken skin. And ditto with the sea salt. Once they come out of the oven, I'm going to scatter them with the dill I've got left. Oh, and alongside, I've got these rather fabulous black-skinned purple flesh vitellotte potatoes. I'll steam these later, but for now, this needs to go in the oven. It'll be done in about an hour and a quarter, and while it cooks, I'll potter about and get the table ready for my sister and family. I do love a cluttered table. The more bits and pieces there are dotted about the place, the happier I am. And I know I haven't left a lot of room for the food, but that doesn't matter. I'll squeeze it in. And it doesn't matter either that we're all shoved up against one another, because really, the whole point of this is being together. Once my tray bake is hot out of the oven, I strew it abundantly with dill. My little chicks. Oh, lovely. I need some bits and pieces for my curry tonight, and this being a butternut and sweet potato curry, there are no prizes for guessing what I'm going to get. So let's slice butternut, sweet potato. I get another one. Now, you can use ground turmeric in this curry, but what really makes the difference for me is using this fresh turmeric, these little rhizomes, and you can see they've got quite a tender, pinky oranginess that's peeking through the skin. Once you've peeled them, they are so intensely orange. They're very, very bright. I have to say that intense oranginess does get everywhere. So before I start, I peel the turmeric just using a teaspoon and then chop it up and I leave it in a bowl ready for all the other paste ingredients. To the turmeric, I add roughly chopped red onion and chilies. Then I slice fresh ginger and pop that in too. Next, I chop some garlic and add that as well. And then on to the dried spices. First coriander and then a little cinnamon. Finally, I sprinkle in sea salt, and all that remains for me to do is blitz everything together. Glorious. And now I need this rambunctiously vibrant paste to make my rambunctiously vibrant curry. Now, whenever you cook with turmeric, you must never use a wooden spoon unless you don't mind it getting stained. And here's one I stained earlier. In fact, I've stained quite a few in my time. I just want to cook the paste just a teeny bit, let it soften. Well, no more than that. Now, good cans of coconut milk separate into a thick part on top and a watery part underneath. And it's the thick part I want in now. And the rich creaminess of the coconut milk is so wonderful against the fierceness of onion and chili, garlic and turmeric. Cooking, like the rest of life, is all about balance. On that note, I'm going to add the rest of the coconut milk. And you can see it is quite watery. And now some vegetable stock, and that's to say hot water and vegetable stock granules. Just to thin it a bit. The coconut milk, the butternut squash and the sweet potatoes are sweet. And I want to add a note of acidity with these canned tomatoes. All that remains to be done is for me to add the butternut squash and sweet potato. I'm going to drop them in very gently, otherwise I'll get splattered with orange. Might do anyway. And while caution was a wise plan, my impatience is getting the better of me, and I'm just going to add the rest now. And this now needs to come to the boil. Now I'm serving rice with, let me show you. It's this black Venus rice from Italy, because I just adore the drama of the black rice against the orange curry. I mean, you can serve whatever rice you want. I'm going to leave this to cook at a simmer with a lid on. I'll get on with my green sauce and then just put it in a bowl to go out on the table, and people can just dollop spoonfuls on their bowls of curry as they eat. To make this coriander and jalapeno salsa, I tear up an entire bunch of coriander. I want the stalks as well. Then I add roughly chopped fresh green jalapeno peppers. Now some roughly chopped garlic and a good sprinkling of sea salt. I pour over vegetable oil, then finely grate a couple of limes. Then my old favourite Mexican elbow comes into play, and I squeeze the juice into the bowl. And now I simply blitz to mix. Hello. Right, I'm ready. I'll label.
Again, it looks good.
The school meals when I have a label.
Oh, no.
Oh, look at that. One spoonful or 2 spoonfuls of the sauce.
Shall I do you next?
I think one, and people can add more as they need. Yes, you can splodge. You can
Oh, the
splodge.
splodge, yes. Yeah, good.
Please, sir, can I have some more? Okay, chin chin, amici.
Bon appetito.
Cheers.
Thank you. No, if you've been on,
It can, no, it can be. It can
Very
be.
comforting. Yes.
But anything you can eat out of a bowl is comforting. I start this recipe with the onions in my right hand, and I end with the onions in my left. But I suppose that's the thing. So much in cooking begins with the frying of onions. It's one of the essential rhythms of the kitchen because cooking isn't a big performance. It is simply a series of small repeated tasks that weave their way through the days. And if you're wondering why the onions are looking quite so yellow, it's because I'm frying them in cold-pressed rapeseed oil, which has a wonderfully mustardy flavour. So I'm going to leave them softly sizzling while I go in search of heat in the form of this red chilli. If you want to de-seed it, you may. I'm just slicing. I want all the fire. So my chilies need to be added to these soft, sweet onions in the pan. And I know this is might seem an odd way of conveying them, but it's because I'm frightened of taking my lenses out later. Beautiful. Ginger is essential here. It has a particular peppery, almost pungent warmth. Gonna grate quite a lot of it in. Oh, and garlic, of course. Another form of heat. So familiar, so necessary. But my heat-seeking mission is not over. I want the gold fire of English mustard. And actually, it provides more than heat. It seems to dance on the edge of bitterness. Now I'm off to the green corner, first for spinach, and this just needs to wilt in the pan. Then lime. Sourness is essential in cooking. It brings brightness and lets the deeper flavours rumble through. And salt, of course. What I'm making is a Bhorta, and it's a bit impudent of me to be telling you what a Bhorta is since I've only recently been introduced to this wonderful thing. But essentially, it's a dish from the Indian subcontinent, and its chief and defining feature is that it contains a mashed component. And I have just such a component in the oven, ready to be mashed. For this is a fish finger Bhorta. Now, I've had these fish fingers in the oven for longer than it says on the packet because I want to get them really crisp on the outside. I'm going to start my mashing. Oh, it's a promising sound, isn't it? And I can add to my sour, hot tangle of gingery onions and mash again. Whatever you do, don't go for those luxy, chunky fish fingers because then you'll have too much of the fish and not enough of the breadcrumbs. And I want a lot of the breadcrumbs. This is fish fingers as you've never eaten them before. And I say that as someone who adores a fish finger sandwich. Can't wait to dive in. Soft, crunchy, spicy. I want to give it a good carpeting of coriander. And this is something I brought to the party. Pink pickled onions. I've just been steeping some half moons of red onion in vinegar for a while. And this is everything I want out of supper every day, any day. And I'm going in. Right, the gemelli are in. I'll get started with the sauce. It's a sauce of anchovies, tomato and mascarpone, and it is full of zesty flavour. I do need to say a word about anchovies, which is that a lot of people think they don't like them because they've had a sort of salty, rusty nail on a bad pizza. But in fact, think of anchovies as the bacon of the sea. They give depth and a wonderful savoury intensity. So let's just get this off the mezzaluna. Pretty much a mush, because the idea is for them almost to melt into the oil. And they're flavouring the oil so gorgeously as they cook. The anchovies are pretty well dissolved in the oil, so now a bit more pep and brio. Fat clove of garlic first. And more heat with some dried red chilli flakes. A semi-stir, and then some cherry tomatoes. I just halve them across the equator. These won't take very long to start exuding all their gloopy tomatoiness into the flavoured oil. But while I wait, I don't like waiting, I'm going to chop a bit of parsley. Right, let's see how these little tomatoes are doing. You can see that their skin has started to sag and wrinkle a bit. Then I know how they feel. So time to add some vermouth. And I know I should say vermouth, but I've had a lifetime of mispronouncing it. Too late to change. So cheering when it starts bubbling up. And you can see that the tomatoes, aided and abetted by the chilli flakes, have turned the liquid a vibrant orange. And it's the insides of the tomatoes that will thicken this, as well as a bit of bubbling away. And now that's done. Got some mascarpone, which mellows it, but actually there's a great tang to mascarpone, which I like. Looks like the sauce is the colour of tin tomato soup. Doesn't taste like that. And now some parmesan. And I know traditionally Italians would never really add Parmesan to any pasta sauce that either has fish in it or is very chillified and garlicky, but, you know, this isn't an Italian recipe. It's Londinese. Now I just need a sprinkle of parsley. If you're going to drain your pasta, remove a cupful of the liquid first, but I won't need to, like this. I'm just going to lift it into the wok. You can see how the gemelli have swollen. They look so teeny before. It's a scant sauce, but a very highly flavoured one. And that's it ready, near instant. Oh, I love its salty, creamy tanginess. Inside, I'm telling myself to stop, but I'm ignoring that direction. Final bit of parsley. That's just what I need. Right, well, the pasta bubbles merrily away. I'm gonna prepare my chard. Now I use rainbow chard because, I mean, look at it, how beautiful it is. Those veins. It's hard to believe that this exists in real life and isn't just the figment of a nursery school child's imagination. I cook the stems or ribs of chard separately from the tender leaves. So I'm going to strip them. It is a pity to mar the beauty, but it's all in a good cause. My supper. And now I have a short but cheering bout of Technicolor chopping. If you haven't had chard before, I think it's best to describe it really as a cross between spinach and kale. But what both chard and pasta need is some oomph. Don't we all? Right, first stop, umami central. 8 anchovy fillets. And when you cook with anchovies, you don't need to chop them before you pop them in the oil. As it warms, you squish them into the pan and they will begin to melt into the oil. I wouldn't say that the anchovies have totally dissolved, but they've broken down a lot and now they're those soft, flavoursome shreds. You turn the heat off because next comes garlic, a lot of garlic, and I don't want it to burn. I know this looks like it's going to be overwhelming, but it really isn't. Once everything's mixed together, what it will give is just a lot of warm oomph. I want a bit of fire flickering its way through this as well, so some dried chilli flakes. I start so many recipes off like this, and I have to say olive oil, anchovies, garlic, chilli, any vegetable tossed in this would be wonderful. Now my stems. Come here, my beauties. While the brightness of these stems will get a little murky in the pan with the anchovies, the flavour will be even more vibrant. Just mixing everything together briefly. And then, it's boiled fairly recently, some hot water. Let it bubble a bit. And then with the lid on, everything will cook to wonderful tenderness while I get on with the leaves. I always try and do something clever with these, like put them in a pile and roll them up, which I am going to try and do, and then cut them. These leaves won't need really to do more than wilt in the heat. In they go, reunited. I really just want to toss these together just so the leaves are coated in that flavoursome liquid. So let's see how the pasta is doing. Feels just right. You can see how the chard leaves have cooked down, like spinach. You don't need to drain the spaghetti, just add the beautiful pale golden strands straight to the pan. It doesn't matter if there's still a bit of water dripping off the pasta, because it's the starchy liquid that will help emulsify the sauce, helping it cleave to each strand. I favour an implement in each hand for this. This is where I'm trying to make myself be patient, because right now I just want to eat without waiting to stir everything together. But I will. Now, I like to douse with a bit more extra virgin olive oil. Convey to my bowl. The Italians are not going to like this because they have a rule, generally speaking, that you don't add cheese to pasta if it's either very garlicky or has fish in the sauce. And this is divinely abundant in both garlic and, anchovies. But I love it with some grated pecorino romano or parmesan over the top. I'm going in.